Have you ever thought about what it really takes to become one of the most elite soldiers on the planet? I mean, we see these guys in movies, these quiet professionals, these operators who can do things that seem almost superhuman. But how do they get there? It's not just about being strong or being a good shot, it's about pushing the human body and, more importantly, the human mind to its absolute breaking point and then just a little bit further. It's a level of commitment and sacrifice that most people can't even comprehend. These guys volunteer for this stuff, they sign up to be pushed past every conceivable limit. If you ever wonder if torture is legal, just try the training routines of the 8 most elite special forces in the world. We're talking about programs designed to weed out 99% of candidates. They're designed to find that 1% of the 1% who have a different kind of wiring. It's a process of forging a human weapon, and the fire they use is just unbelievably intense. The pain, the sleep deprivation, the constant soul-crushing stress. It's a controlled descent into hell. You have to wonder, where is the line? At what point does a brutal training regimen cross over into something else entirely? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that world. We're not just talking about push-ups and long runs. We're talking about psychological warfare, resistance to interrogation, and physical endurance tests that sound like they were dreamed up in a medieval dungeon. From the rain-soaked hills of Wales to the frozen waters off the Korean peninsula, we're going to look at the 8 most grueling, most insane, and most respected Special Forces selection processes in existence. This is a deep dive into the very edge of human potential, and it's going to get wild. First up, you gotta talk about the granddaddy of them all, the British SAS. Their motto is, "Who dares wins," but for most guys who try out, it's more like, "Who dares gets medically discharged." Their selection process is legendary, man. It's held in the Brecon Beacons in Wales, and it's just this miserable, cold, wet, unforgiving landscape. The first phase is this endurance test where they have you running over these mountains with a heavy pack and a rifle, and the weight of the pack just keeps increasing. It's not just a physical beatdown, it's a mind game. The instructors are ghosts. You don't know the route, you don't know how far you have to go, you just have to navigate point to point and make the time cutoffs. And if you somehow survive that, you get to the jungle phase, which is a whole other level of misery. Learning to live, fight, and survive in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. But the real kicker, the thing the SAS is famous for, is their resistance to interrogation phase. Stress positions, white noise, sleep deprivation, and then brutal interrogations. They are testing your will to resist, your ability to stick to your story, and to not break. Most guys don't make it. It's designed to find the unbreakable man. It's just a whole other dimension of tough. Then you've got the French GIGN, the National Gendarmerie Intervention Group. These guys are surgical, man. They're known for counter-terrorism and hostage rescue, and their training is designed to make them completely immune to pressure. They have this one test, and it's just insane to even think about. A recruit has to stand still while another member fires a .357 Magnum round into their body armor from just a few yards away. Think about that. It's not about whether the vest will stop the bullet. They know it will. It's about trust. It's about conditioning you to face gunfire without flinching, to trust your gear and your teammates implicitly. It's a psychological test of the highest order. But it doesn't stop there. Their training is a relentless barrage of stress tests. They do live fire exercises in what they call a killing house, clearing rooms with live ammunition while role players act as hostages and terrorists. One wrong move, one moment of hesitation, and someone could get seriously hurt or killed. They push them into extreme fatigue and then force them to make split-second life-or-death decisions. They want to see who can maintain that ice-cold calm and clarity of thought when their body is screaming and the world is exploding around them. It's about forging a mind that is as much of a weapon as the gun in their hands. Over in South Korea, you have their Navy UDT SEALs, and these guys are on a whole different level of intensity. Their training is infamous, particularly their Hell Week. It's 5 straight days of non-stop physical activity with a total of maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep for the entire week. They're constantly cold, constantly wet, constantly sandy, and constantly being pushed by instructors who are just relentless. They have to carry these heavy inflatable boats, known as IBS, everywhere they go. They run with them, do push-ups with them, eat with them. That boat becomes a symbol of their shared suffering and teamwork. And a huge part of their training is tied to the water. They are, after all, a naval special warfare unit. They do insane underwater demolition training, learning to handle explosives in freezing, murky water. They have a test called the drown-proofing test where their hands and feet are tied, and they have to survive in a pool for an extended period, using just their body control to bob up for air. It's designed to eliminate any fear of the water, to make them completely at home in an environment that would kill a normal person in minutes. The dropout rate is astronomical, often over 80 or 90%. Now, Delta Force is one of the most secretive units in the world. The US government barely even acknowledged their existence for years. They are the tip of the spear. Getting in is next to impossible. Their selection process, known as the long walk, is the stuff of legends. Candidates who are already seasoned soldiers from other elite units like the Rangers and Special Forces are dropped into the Appalachian Mountains with a pack, a map, a compass, and a series of points they have to find. They have no idea how long the course is or how many points there are. They just walk and walk and walk. It's a brutal test of individual land navigation skill and pure solitary grit. You're alone with your thoughts, your pain, and the crushing weight of the unknown. They're looking for that self-motivated, problem-solving mindset. They want the guy who will not quit, even when there's no one there to scream at him. And if you make it through that, you face a psychological grilling from a board of senior Delta operators and psychologists. They tear you apart, question your motives, your life, everything. They want to see if you have the mental fortitude and emotional stability to operate at the highest levels, where the stakes are entire nations. If you ever wonder why the US doesn't have a universal healthcare system, just check their army. The amount of money they pour into creating these human weapons is just staggering. And the guys in Navy SEAL Team 6, or DevGru, are the pinnacle of that. To even get a shot at this, you first have to become a Navy SEAL, which is already one of the hardest things a human being can do. That means surviving the infamous Bud-S training and its centerpiece, Hell Week. It's 5.5 days of pure, unadulterated misery. You're running, swimming in freezing water, doing thousands of push-ups and carrying logs and boats, all on less than 4 hours of sleep for the entire week. They have something called surf torture, where they make the trainees lie in the cold Pacific surf until their bodies are uncontrollably shaking from hypothermia, and then they make them run in the sand to warm up, only to order them back into the water. It's a physical and mental beatdown designed to make you quit. They're not just testing your strength, they're testing your spirit. They want to see who, when faced with absolute misery and the overwhelming desire to stop the pain, will choose to keep going for the sake of the man next to him. It's a brutal Darwinian process that forges an unbreakable bond between those who survive it. If the world was a game, being Israel would surely be the hardest level. They're surrounded by enemies in a constant state of high alert, and that reality is reflected in their most elite unit, Sayeret Matkal. These guys are masters of intelligence gathering, counterterrorism, and deep reconnaissance, often operating far behind enemy lines. Their selection camp, called the Gibush, is a multi-day event where candidates are monitored 24/7 by doctors and psychologists. They're given grueling physical tasks like carrying sandbags up and down dunes for hours on end, but they're never told the purpose or the endpoint. The real test is psychological. They deliberately withhold information. They'll give you a task with no instructions and just watch to see how you approach it. They're looking for creativity, leadership, and the ability to think under extreme stress and uncertainty. They'll wake you up in the middle of the night for interrogations, trying to break you mentally. It's a selection process that values intelligence and mental toughness just as much, if not more, than physical prowess. They need soldiers who can not only endure hardship but can also outthink their enemy in the most high-stakes situations imaginable. Russia's forces are a bit questionable, especially after we saw their so-called military might in the war against Ukraine. But within their system they have these Spetsnaz units, and Alpha Group is supposed to be the best of the best. Their training philosophy is rooted in a kind of brutalism that is just on another level. It's not just about enduring pain, it's about mastering it. There are reports of training exercises that sound like something out of a horror movie, where recruits are forced to deal with the pain of being shot with non-lethal rounds, or have to navigate obstacle courses while being beaten with sticks. They push the boundaries of what's survivable. There are stories about recruits having to kill stray dogs and drink their blood as a survival test, or being left in a room with a corpse to desensitize them to death. They even practice a form of self-surgery, learning to treat their own wounds in the field with no anesthetic. The whole system is designed to create a soldier who is ruthless, completely devoid of fear, and capable of shocking acts of violence without hesitation. It's a dark and brutal path, and you have to wonder what kind of human being comes out the other side of that kind of training. If you think Poles are slow, you obviously haven't heard of J.W. Grom. These guys are the real deal, one of the most respected Tier 1 units in NATO, and they were modeled directly after the US Delta Force and the British SAS. Their name, Grom, means thunder, and their training lives up to it. It starts with a series of insane physical and psychological tests. One of them is the test of truth, where a candidate has to run up a mountain, exhausted, and then get into a fist fight with a fresh instructor. It's not about winning, it's about seeing if you have the heart to fight when you have nothing left in the tank. They put a massive emphasis on discipline and adaptability. Their training covers everything from high-altitude parachuting and combat diving to advanced demolitions and escape and evasion tactics. They subject them to what they call the hell of a week, which is their version of the classic sleep deprivation beatdown, pushing them to their physical and mental limits in the mountains and forests of Poland. The instructors are looking for that quiet professionalism, that unbreakable will, and the intelligence to solve complex problems in the worst possible conditions. They're forging operators who can be relied upon when the thunder strikes. So, what do you think? Is it training or is it a form of sanctioned torture? It's a crazy thought, isn't it? When you look at what these men volunteer to go through, it's hard to even process. The sleep deprivation, the hypothermia, the psychological torment, the constant grinding physical pain. It's a crucible designed to burn away everything but the absolute strongest core of a person. It's a process that has to exist, because the world is a dangerous place, and there are situations where you need individuals who can operate on a level that is far beyond normal human capacity. These men are the shield, the ones who go to the dark places so the rest of us don't have to. But there's a cost. There's a physical cost for sure in bodies that are broken down and worn out, but there's a mental and spiritual cost too. You can't go through that kind of fire and come out completely unchanged. The process of turning a man into a weapon is a profound and violent act, even when it's voluntary. It raises some wild questions about the nature of a warrior, the limits of the human body, and the psychology of a society that needs men like this to exist. It's a testament to the fact that there are still people out there willing to sacrifice everything, to be pushed to the very brink of their sanity and survival, for a cause they believe in. Ultimately, the line between training and torture might just be a matter of perspective. For us, on the outside looking in, it seems insane. But for the men who raise their hands and say, "Send me," it's just the price of admission. It's the necessary journey to become part of a brotherhood forged in shared suffering, to become one of the most elite special operators on the face of the earth. It's a fascinating, terrifying, and awe-inspiring world. And it makes you appreciate the quiet professionals who are out there right now, somewhere in the dark,